What's happening, everybody? Hello and welcome back to Total Blast, where we discuss about everything Marvel and the MCU. The Guardian of the Galaxy Holiday Special is finally here with some Easter egg references and little things that you might have missed in Guardian of the Galaxy Holiday Special, as well as things that could sum up in Volume 3. And if you haven't seen the special yet, and you're trying to avoid any spoilers, you can click away now. But if you're still here, that means that you are brave enough and you don't care about spoilers. So, let's dive right into it. Guys, we'll be giving out a brand new PlayStation 5 on this channel to one lucky subscriber. More on how to win at the end of this video. And if this is your first time, please subscribe and enable the post notification so you don't miss out on subsequent videos. The opening track of Christmas Special is the Pogue's Fairy Tale of New York. After that, we see a few panels from comic with Christmas theme until the Marvel Studio logos appears. The visual and music in Marvel Special Presentation Fanfare are modeled after the CBS Special Presentation Fanfare from the 1970s, although the title flips comic book pages have been changed with specifically Christmas-named Marvel ones. The Marvel Studios logo, which starts with a comic before moving on to script and then movie pictures to demonstrate that the comics are in the inspiration for the films, is featured in the special presentation graphics along with a brief overview of Marvel theme. The comics in this special episode are all from Marvel Comic Christmas issues, including this one from X-Men number 143, where Kitty Pryde must battle an angry demon in the X-Mansion where she's left alone at Christmas. The angry are the same demons that serve Wanda and the Multiverse of Madness. The song that opens and ends the special is called Fairy Tale of New York. Hulk, Santa, and the Little Avengers are one of these. There are some stockings with Avengers theme, including one with a cat theme, one with a Hulk theme, and one with Spider-Man theme. And then there's another one with Carol Danvers and Santa, which might be Captain Marvel's Volume 8 and number 11, and one with the cover of the sensational She-Hulk, where Santa is introduced to Detective Nick St. Christopher. As a result, snowdrifts are covering the entire Marvel Studio fanfare, and the letters interiors have been updated with fresh heroes as usual. The moment She-Hulk is added is when she thunderclaps. Gamora and Peter Quill, the long-lost Guardian lovers, are shown side by side in Daredevil Episode 8. This is the first time we've seen them together since the 2014 version of Gamora split up with the Guardians in the warning moment of Endgame. Even though Kamala Khan is still there, Shuri from Black Panther has been added to the V. And there's been, of course, some lovely Christmas stir lightings all around the logo. The music playing underneath is from Pogue's 1987 Fairy Tale of New York. And now, we see in these opening minutes, we see a 2D animated version of the Elector, which is the Ravager's sheep. And here sounds like a young boy laughing before we see a young Peter Quill likely soon after he was abducted. Decorated a Christmas tree with Kraglin. In fact, this graded floor chamber in the same location on the Collector where the Guardians first came together in the 2014 film. And while they were decorating the Christmas tree, Yondu walks in and says, "What in the fires, Ogud, y'all think you're doing?" Yes, Ogud refers to Stalker Ogud, that Sylvester Stallone character from Guardian 2, the overall leader of the Ravagers. Now, the colors of Ogud were first mentioned here in Guardian of the Galaxy Volume 2. In that movie, Sylvester Stallone plays Dr. Ogud, leader for the Ravagers, and the color of Ogud refers to the funeral lights that were seen at the end of the movie. So basically, the colors of Ogud are the fireworks salute that the Raptors get in their funeral. Initially, Yondu is denied by the Scar, but eventually reclaims and ends it. The steel crate that Kraglin sits on looks a lot like one that Rocket stands on in the scene. Here, the 2D animation does give off the 80s nostalgia for this special presentation, which does seem like the kind of era of history that James Gunn loves. Even with the present wrapped for Kraglin, Yondu and others, Yondu hates the idea of Christmas and handouts. That may be okay for you mushy types of terror, but out here is the cold rigors of space. These flashback scenes appear to have been rotoscoped to be animated to resemble a cartoon from the 1970s or the 1980s. This entailed the sequence being genuinely filmed using actors, which animators could trace them over and give the characters a more fluid form of animation. And as a result, they move more naturally than they would if they had been drawn wider. The young Quill was portrayed by Olaf in the Guardian film, but Luke Clint voices him here. The tree is an unarmed light. So back to the special. Yondu threatens to make them clean the latrine, to which Kraglin replies, "That's Jeff's favorite job." Then we learned that this is all the story being told by Kraglin when the scene cuts to a live action when Kraglin says, "That's how Yondu ruined Christmas forever." Then he says, "Anyway, I just saw on a multi-calendar that right now on Earth, it's almost Christmas time." So, the multi-calendar is a new bit of MCU world building, like explaining how different planets keep track of years and dates across galaxies and solar system, since time will be relative. Nebula reveals that ever since buying Knowhere from the Collector, we don't have time for Trivantes like Christmas. This place needs a lot of fixing up before it's livable. So, I don't have time for frivolous things like Christmas at this point. To which a laughing Drax says, "I like the part where Yondu kicked over the tree back to the ground." And now, if you remember, that Knowhere is the severed head of a celestial that was featured heavily in the first movie. So, if the Guardians have bought Knowhere from the Collector in the aftermath of those events, which means that Chandler Trevor did survive when we did see his gold blue ship departing in the beginning of Loki episode season 6, it's not clear yet how the Guardians got the money to buy Knowhere or why they want it. Could it be that Quill might just want this location hoping that Gamora will wander back there, and maybe Javon is broke and that the Guardians got a good deal and they just want control over the celestial brain matter meaning operation? But either way, this sets up their home base for Guardian of the Galaxies 3 when the Guardians will meet Adam Warlock played by Will Poulter. This also housed the headquarters of the Collector that was damaged in Guardians and Thanos devastated their entire planet in Infinity War. So, the Guardians purchasing Knowhere is huge for several reasons. One, it means that the Collector is alive because they bought it from him. Secondly, it means that the Guardians have saved up all the money they need and gigging around the galaxy, and now that they've just bought a place that is bustling galactic hub. Knowhere is a huge industry place because people mind the brain of the dead celestial. We see Peter signing forms and being an administrator. He's all grown up. Now, in the comics, Knowhere actually becomes the headquarters of the Guardian of the Galaxy. Just like in the movie, it's a bustling place with an A-bar named Starland, was named after Jim Sterling, the creator of Thanos, Adam Warlock, and most of the most famous Marvel comic characters. And he has a cameo in Avengers Endgame. And as the head security in Knowhere is Cosmo, the space dog who is also a member of the Guardians in the comic. In the comic, Cosmo is a dog sent into space by the Russians back in the 1950s, who was then bombarded with the cosmic ray and got telepathic and telekinetic ability. She's voiced by Maria Bakalova, who you might remember from the second Borat movie. After Knowhere was destroyed, we saw Cosmo escape and then licks the Collector's wound. In the movie, Cosmo first appeared in the 2014 Guardians of the Galaxy, and the Collector's vault was revealed to have survived its destruction in the post-credit scenes. This spacesuit comes from the fact that the dog is a Soviet space dog from the 60s, a reference to the tragic real-world Russian space pop of Laika. Cosmo in the comic is telepathic and telekinetic. Here, the dog levitates, building panels and speaks through a voice called Dog, and picks her up also on one of those delicious traits in the bag Cosmo voiced by Maria Bakalova. Mantis also mentions in here that Quill is sad about Gamora being gone. Brad Nakamura died in Avengers Infinity War, but remember in Avengers Endgame, a version of Gamora from 2014 traveled into 2023, where she briefly met the Guardians. While this version of Gamora did turn away from Thanos, she lacks all the backstory with the Guardians, so she didn't join the team in Thor Love and Thunder. Next, we see some aliens sing Peter a very hilarious misunderstanding Christmas song. The band here is called the Old 97s, and the band leader says that everything that he knows about Christmas he learned from Rocket, who learned from Cosmo, who learned from Kraglin. So, that means that Kraglin talked about Christmas with Cosmo the Space Dog, and Cosmo the Space Dog talked about it via a confusing Russian voice cooler. And you can now see the little evidence of all of those characters and how they all look at the world in these weird lyrics. The song is called I Don't Know What Christmas Is. It's performed here by the Old 97s. Lyrics were written by James Gunn himself, and notice how the lead singer can do this weird windmill thing with his elbow joint and then a crowd member decides to copy it. One of the lyrics is of course referring to Hemi, the elf who only wanted to be a dentist from Rudolph Christmas Special, telling me what you want to do. Well, sir, someday I'd like to be a dentist. And now, Groot looks very interesting in this special. He's no longer a teenager, and he's also not a long tree like his dad was. Well, the first Groot died in Guardian 1, and this Groot is his offspring. Groot's dead, and this has been a whole new Groot since the entire time. So, the band chorus goes thus. Santa is a fury freak with epic superpowers. He flies to every human home in under 14 hours. He's a master burglar, a pro at picking locks. If you don't leave your milk and cookies, he will put out a dung in your sock. Quill denies this, but you know that there are Christmas traditions around the world where Santa is more of a trickster. But you can see how a lot of this is just coming from Rocket's imagination, like he would respect someone who is a pro at picking locks. And this whole idea of dung in your socks likely came from coal in your stockings. And of course, which is hilarious because Rocket might interpret coal to be a kind of dung that can be used as fuel, because in his mind, coal is just a fossil fuel fossilized remain of animals and plants. And in the background, we can see Groot, who has now grown up quite a bit from the scrawny teenager that we last saw in the Guardian of the Galaxy Volume 2 opening. So, the second verse of the song says, "Is compelled as creepy hells do, in his every wish once sought to be a dentist." Now, he's sleeping with the fish, Mrs. Clash. She works the pole plant. A man's demise soon, and the elves will rise up and stab out Santa's eyes. Rocket's interpretation of Santa legend is a creepy old man who sees you when you're sleeping and he knows when you're awake. And it makes sense to wonder why the North Pole is literal in Santa's mythology. Still in Knowhere, up on the balcony when Mantis is alone with Drax, she reveals something big here, to which Drax mentioned that she ate all the Zog nuts. The snack which Drax was eating in Infinity Warfare when Mantis dropped the big reveal is that she's Eagle's daughter and Peter's half-sister. But how is that possible? Well, remember Eagle literally and metaphorically spread his seed throughout the galaxy trying to recreate offsprings that would allow him to expand. Yondu brought these kids to him over the years after the expansion. And now in the movie, Mantis just says that Eagle found her and kept it secret that she was his daughter. Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2 did hint that during Eagle's backstory, showing one of the many mates that he hooked up with during the big orgy being the same race as Mantis, she must have been Mantis' mother. Mantis reminds us of how Eagle killed Peter's mother Meredith and tried to kill Peter because Mantis is the group's empathy, and she talks about Peter's general emotions, so he's sad about Gamora being gone. Drax remembers all the time that Peter talked about Kevin Bacon like in Guardians of the Galaxy 1, a great hero named Kevin Bacon, and then later, this was brought up in Infinity War by some of Earth's mightiest heroes like Kevin Bacon may have been on the team. Gamora doesn't come up in all of the story. Drax and Mantis decided to go and get Kevin Bacon, the star of Footloose, from who Peter Quill has brought up several times in the past films. Then the scene cuts to Kevin Bacon coming home and taking a call from Kira, voiced by his actual wife actress, Kira Sedgwick. Drax and Mantis depart Knowhere in their new ship. And now, in the earlier Guardian movies, was the Milano for Alicia Milano in Infinity Warfare. In Endgame, it was the Benatar, and now a special established a third ship as the Bowie. Then the scene cuts to Kevin Bacon on Earth talking to his real-life wife, Kira Sedgwick, who voices herself on the special, as they travel to Earth, using the same wrap tech that we've seen in other movies that create a hexagonal pattern and space-time. And while they were on the ship, they talked about how cool is hyped Kevin Bacon up, and to them, it must have been the leader of all the people on Earth due to all the stories Peter told them. And it's funny how a woman is panicking as she sees the ship rolling. After all, with all the stuff that people in the MCU have gone through, you can imagine why. So, they freak out the residents, but definitely, this shouldn't be freaking them out because they see an alien spaceship in the MCU, and at this point, it's because Drax forgot to use the cloaking function. This is just like the tech that was used on the Skrull space station in Captain Marvel. So, he turns it on and Mantis wishes that he had brought Groot alongside instead. They fly over the Hollywood Hills and you can see the Hollywood Reservoir there. You can also hear the song Is This Christmas by the band The Wombats. And we watch as they go over the Hollywood Walk of Fame. The public seem unaware of who Drax and Mantis are, but they had people collapsing as they see them. There are also some of the Avengers too, along with Ant-Man, Captain Marvel, Captain America, and Black Widow in the background. We can also see a movie poster for Kingo. If you cast your mind back to Eternals, when you'll probably remember they had a full spy film franchise, making him what we see here too, with a poster advertising a spy adventure for him. Later on, we catch a bit of a promo for the character, only this time is advertising a Christmas movie. Kingo, of course, had an apparent acting dynasty, even though it was just him pretending to be his son so he could live forever without drawing too much suspicion. He's also a living statue. And if you look above him, you'll see a poster for a Jackson 3. Jackson was a movie in the Marvel Universe that was starring Simon Williams. It was played by Nathan Fillion, but unfortunately, Kingo ended up replacing Simon from Hacks in 3 onwards. Some people even refer to Drax as the God of War. Drax is, of course, bald and he has red marks on his face, making him look similar to Kratos. God of War Ragnarok is a game in which you fight Thor, and Thor Ragnarok showed it's all connected a bit. He's been saying that for months now. They take photos with several people and it's very familiar. The selfie scene. That happened on his mobile phone at one point. We can actually also see the arm of Thor behind Drax as he takes pictures with his hand party. And now, notice all the movie posters around here and one starring Kingo. That's Camille Nanjiani's movie starring characters from Eternal. X-Men 3, the Exana, is also seen behind Santa with the bell where apparently Kingo's character is battling demons in this sequel later at night. You can see another billboard for another Kingo Christmas movie since Kingo was taken from Earth by Arashim at the end of Eternals. These might be movies that had already been shot and were already in post-production and the studio's just now releasing them. In their search for Kevin Bacon, they go to a bar where the bartender feels like Borg, who was in James Gunn's The Suicide Squad. Drax and Mantis take their money into a nearby bar, which you can see later is named Yavos, a nod to James Gunn's friend director David Yoroskov, whose nickname Yavos, based on Muslim cameos, is Albertane's Javelin and James Gunn's Suicide Squad in 2021. Someone tries to get Drax to dance, but he refuses and says dancing is for people who are pathetic. Yes, calling back to his speech to Quill in Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2 about dancers and non-dancers. It's great how this special actually expanded on Mantis, because we actually haven't gotten much time with her up until now. Little details like how she laps a drink with her tongue, similar to how an insect would do, and later we see that she's actually a badass, who is like a duper faster and agile kind of like a bug, but she's also a skilled fighter who incorporates her powers into these fights. Sarah, the souvenir salesperson, is played by Rusty Schwimmer. Her map on the stars takes him past the home of Margot Robbie, Queen Latifah, John Cena, and Arnold Schwarzenegger, and saved by Bella-era Mal called Gosliner, and then to Beverly Hills to Kevin Bacon's house. Kevin Bacon watches the 1964 film Santa Claus Conquers the Martians, and to the left of the TV, there are some stockings that have been hanging with the names Travis, Kira, and Sophie. Kevin Bacon and Kira Cedric's kids are named Travis and Sophie, and Sophie Bacon actually just starred in a horror film Smile earlier this year. It's a big year for the Bacons. Martins and Drax ring in and Kevin Bacon's house address is 1988, which is the year Peter Quill got abducted by the Ravagers. Kevin Bacon stays remarkably calm when the Vivian security camera suddenly shows up close of Mantis' massive pupils, which doesn't seem scary at all. When Kevin hangs up, Martin says, "Look at what you did," which is similar to Uncle Frank from Home Alone. "Look what you did, you little jerk." Drax tosses Mantis over the gate and then immediately jumps over by himself, clearing it easily, meaning he could probably have jumped with her. As Kevin Bacon flees around his home, we hear fountains of wings. "I want an alien this Christmas," which is quite ironic because in Drax and Mantis' eyes, Kevin Bacon is the alien that they wish they could have for Christmas. Mantis is frightening when she emerges from the ground like a xenomorph, but her warrior snores are hilarious. But we first noticed her doing them during Infinity War, when Peter Quill instructed them to put on terrible expressions when they were on Benstar. Kevin leaps onto the balcony beneath the edges that are footstoned with these holiday lights, striking a resemblance to Clint Barton's leap in the 30s rock Christmas tree in Hawkeye. When the Beverly Hills police comes, they start shooting at Drax, but the shots only irritate him. Mantis delivers the best stunts action that we've ever seen her take on these cops, but only to put them asleep after all. In the interim, Drax flips the squad car and turns it upside down. Henry Winkler, according to Kevin, is someone he knows. The fans haven't had dinner with him once, but they've questioned him about the experiences in Footloose, where he saved a town by dancing, where he battled Jason Voorhees, and Friday the 13th, and the reference of how the character got stabbed through the neck with an arrow. However, Peter Quill actually came dangerously close to death in 2014 movie when Yondu held an arrow directly over his throat. He's an actor. In reality, he has never saved anyone. So, to them, actors are despicable. When they act like someone else, it's understandable that they feel like this though because the Guardians are all honest. But Drax and Mantis stand out as the most honest, void of pretense and lies. Irony and misleading metaphors are really absent from them. Therefore, the notion of someone acting like a character just like puts them off the physical level, and it's ridiculous how they keep trying with Kevin Bacon. Otherwise, Christmas is doomed. Therefore, they have to act like they're real heroes. To which Kevin, whom is under a trance, started saying, "Well, I mean, mate, I can't wait to storm the Nazis on the beach. What are you doing? I'm a hero, ain't I? I'm a private in the British Army during World War II. And then Kevin Bacon referenced to Batman, "Hello, I am Batman. I mean, I am Bruce Wayne. Who's Bruce Wayne?" It's a little strange that DC is mentioned in the Marvel comics, but Thanos previously broke the spell by mentioning both Batman and Superman. Back in Knowhere, we see Peter in the bar all by himself, and it's lured outside by Crew who, with the others, has thrown a surprise party. Knowhere lights up, covered in Christmas lights, and we also hear the song "Christmas Time Has Come" by Smashing Pumpkins makes Knowhere cry to make it feel like around Christmas and everyone there was wearing Christmas jumpers. But observe how Peter freaks out when he learns that they kidnapped Kevin Bacon. This isn't a Christmas present. This is human trafficking. Peter despises this because he was also abducted from Earth, and he finds it unbelievable that it happened to his childhood hero. While Kevin stomps on a rocket that is a talking raccoon, "Don't ever call me that. I'll murder you." Again, Rocket is not a raccoon. Despite how much he dislikes the name, in Guardian of the Galaxy Volume 3, we will find out exactly what Rocket is. Most likely, one of Herbert Wondrum's high evolutionary experiments on animal hybrids. Kevin Bacon receives a pet talk from Kraglin, where he tells Kelvin how Peter once used actual dancing to save the entire galaxy, and you once saved the town with dancing. You showed him how to be a hero. Yes, you reminded us of how Peter saving the galaxy by diverting Ronin with a dance-off. Kara Sedgwick calls Kevin, who asked, "How on earth do you get recession up here?" It may help to understand how Bruce Banner's Hawk was able to communicate with Jen Walters from orbit in She-Hulk episode 2. If you had a couple of decent satellite dishes outside, it appears like satellites have just been installed all over. So Kevin Bacon chose to remain and jam with the old 97s. Groot receives an original Game Boy from Quill. This is an update on the original handheld Defender game that some Infinity War players used to play. What else was in Peter Quill's rucksack when he was kidnapped? To be clear, this is not the original Winter Soldier arm that Bucky lost in the Civil War. Rather, it is the black vibranium arm that he obtained in Infinity War. From what we've seen so far in Phase 4 of the MCU, Rocket has always wanted Bucky's arm. In the meantime, Nebula gives Rocket freaking Bucky vibranium's arm. Bucky still has that. Since the Dora Milaje were able to detach the arm from Bucky's shoulder in the Falcon and the Winter Soldier cinematic scene, Nebula must have recently visited Earth to steal Bucky's arm and may already be familiar with detaching his gear due to having the most cybernetic part. Or Bucky may have recently traveled to space and Nebula stole it. Kraglin is then given a dead Orny with a bow by Cosmo. Remember the final episode of I Am Groot, how crafty Mantis display shows the 4 of them on the balcony from the first scene. Mantis brings back Drax inflatable elf, but Groot made all of these figurines. Groot must have made this during the last few hours after learning about everything from the others, because Peter depicts Drax and Mantis leaping over the brink in pursuit of Kelvin. Drax figurine depicts him flipping in the squad car with 2 bulging cup-sized figures. Nebula displays Kelvin exiting the box once more, indicating that everything has been completed recently. The most outrageous is Kraglin, because it depicts him opening a present at the same time and, if you look closely, at least holding a figurine of himself. Groot appears to have delved at least 5 layers into this. I have no idea how those clumsy fingers managed to put together these miniatures. Rocket isn't waving when they bid farewell to Kevin. Kevin waves goodbye and says, "Hey, see you at Easter." But Groot has to give him a tap on the shoulder to persuade him to do so. Oh, that might just be quip, but Easter might just be a hint for Volume 3. So, who knows? Maybe Kevin Bacon may appear in Guardian of the Galaxy Volume 3 thanks to that statement. Finally, the people of Knowhere understand Christmas that there's a lot of similarities here to Nightmare Before Christmas. Here, Mantis reveals to Quill that she's his sister, which is the best Christmas gift of all, which man who lost his mother and realized his father was a king and now someone who is a part of his actual family. It's such a nice little tale. Mantis learns more about Yondu's Christmas story from Peter. Yondu is depicted once more in the 2D cartoon discovering the tree trash can with another gift for Taserface. Remember, it is Miniature's Ravager for Volume 2 may be found. Yondu opens the package containing the figurine Peter gave him. Yondu will now begin his hobby of acquiring trinkets for the dashboard. Just as if all you did was observe from Joel Frog when the Sender shop and the troll toy that Peter used to tease him with in the conclusion of the first movie, while he was sitting in the quadrant cockpit. You also see a present for Taserface and that Quill is given his iconic gun by Yondu. These are all cut blasters and the element gun in the comics, which is something that the character has brandished in both the pairs, right and up until the skies together. And they write Merry Christmas and Happy Holidays to all. So basically, the guns that we've seen Peter use throughout all of these movies originally came from his father. Now, the song, The Fairy Tale of New York, returns, revealed to be the music on Yondu's speakers as he punches Peter in the shoulder, and Peter responds by punching him back. Just like Scott Fracker's and Grover did in A Christmas Story. Then they blast off into what appears to be a Star Wars cyberspace, leaving a trail of fireworks in their wake, and they assemble the colors of Ogrod. There is now a brief post-credit scene. So now, we know that James Gunn doesn't appear to choose his music at random, though the song's metaphorical association with Yondu and Peter Quill is revealed in the film's concluding scenes. In the end credit scene, Groot is standing there like a Christmas tree, but then he keeps his arm up. So, the Christmas tree idea was botched. So, Rocket says they need another special. Though, James Gunn is now in charge of DC, it's uncertain if this will happen. In light of this, it does seem unlikely that he will rejoin Marvel anytime soon. Next year, perhaps, another figure will have a special. In order to take over DC Universe, Gunn will soon have to leave Marvel Studios. So, they better hurry. Guys, back to our giveaway. We'll be giving out a brand new PlayStation 5 on this channel to one lucky subscriber once we hit 1,000 subscribers. And all you have to do to win is watch our videos, subscribe, turn on post notification, like and comment. And one lucky subscriber will be chosen from the comment section to win our brand new PlayStation 5. Also, want to say thank you to everyone who has supported us this far. We truly appreciate it. What are your thoughts on this video? And what are your thoughts on the specials that Marvel Studios has been rolling out lately? Please, don't forget to like this video and share your thoughts and opinions in the comment section below. Subscribe and turn on the post notification so you don't miss out on any of our latest Marvel news. Thank you so much for watching. And as always, I hope to see you in the next one.